Ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome today in this meeting with our journalist Maria Maalouf. In this meeting, we will talk about serial of conversations about popular people in the Arabic media regarding the anti-Semitism and how can we reduce the anti-Israel rhetoric in the Islamic world. Today, we would like to welcome all the attendees. Mr. Ibrahim from Morocco, thank you for being here. Thank you for all the working on this event from ISGAP, and also welcome to Mrs. Maria. She is a popular journalist from Lebanon. She is very popular in the Arab world and she's been influenced with great influence about the writers and the reporters nationally and internationally. Maria is a journalist well known, like a woman looking for freedom, and also her book, A Tunisian Woman Looking to Challenges or to Find Ways Out of Her Challenges. She also introduced and hosted lots of national and international presidents. Also, she worked in one of the TV shows. She also hosted lots of political programs in the Arabic TV shows. Also, she is a journalist, the only Lebanese journalist that hosted lots of women and men around the world. Also, she is a human rights and she defends women rights. Maria Maalouf got lots of rewards in Oman and in Maryland in USA. Also, she got a medal from Lebanon for journalism. She got another present from human rights organizations and lots of medals from Lebanon. We are proud to have you here, Mrs. Maria Marouf. And now, please talk about the anti-Semitism and Hezbollah in Lebanon and how this Hezbollah group has this anti-Israel rhetoric in Lebanon and how they hate Jews and Israeli people. Thank you so much for hosting me and welcome to everyone who's attending with us today and for ISGAP for this seminar, which is very important for me because of the topic we are talking about today, which is the relationship of Hezbollah and the anti-Semitism. I will hear the English interpretation. However, I will speak slowly. Hezbollah is very popular. It's not only for his activities, political activities, but also because of his ideological reports that he speaks anti-Israel and anti-Semitism. And this goes back to the 1980s when he started the anti-Israel rhetoric, and he talked about Israel and how they has a threat against the world, and he hates Jews as religion group, and also there are lots of groups that identify this group as a terror group. I will speak about it in general and then we'll receive any questions that you have. At the beginning, the roots of Hezbollah or ideology, the ideology of Hezbollah, it is the revolution ideology of Iran that started in 1979, and this ideology is a political and military group that actually goes according to the Iranian agenda in the area. Also, he focused on Israel as the first enemy, and there is a difference between being a Jew and being Israeli. However, the Iranian influence on Hezbollah is very big. Hezbollah doesn't consider Israel a country with severity, but he thinks it's only a country that goes with the Jewish religion, and he targets the Jews and he uses the ideology of religion that the Jews wants to rule the world and corrupt the world with their ideology. Also, he wants to spread hatred among youth because they are elements in Hezbollah and they want them to hate Israel not only as a country but also as a religious ideology. Hezbollah depends on lots of Islamic Quran verses and he implemented to use his political reports and political messages against the Jews. There is a history for Hezbollah against the Jews conspiracy and how the Jews wants to control the economy or the world economy. The leaders of Hezbollah is Hassan Nasrallah, and he was killed by Israel, and we are grateful to Israel to get rid of him and give the way to Lebanon to develop again and get the strength it needs again without any uh, conflict or civil war. This is another thing we will talk about later. However, Hassan Nasrallah made lots of reports against Jews. He says that if the Jews gathered in Palestine, this will make it easier for us to get them or to target them in one place in Palestine. Also, he has said that the Jews are the sons of monkeys and pigs, and this shows how hatred and how he give messages to the youth and he implement his hatred in these Jews and makes them ready for any confrontation, even casual confrontations in the road or on the street. Also, he depended on the media channels. Al-Manar, for example, they are Hezbollah channel or media channel, and they also talk about hatred riot against the Jews, and they have a series. The series is called Al Shatat, and this actually says this series says that the Jews are trying to control the world, so they are trying to market this ideology among the world. So most of this series is talking about the Jews' economy and how they want to control the world. Also, Hezbollah created groups, and these groups are trying to tie between the conspiracy theory and that the Jews are going to control the world or occupy the world and how they will control us. In Hezbollah war, he targeted the civilian Israelis. He didn't target the military buildings. And if we look at Hamas' latest act, they also targeted civilians, and we have seen how brutal it was and how the anti-Semitism targeted people in their buildings, in their social life. The scenes that Hamas and Hezbollah showed us in the latest war, how ISIS and Daesh and the Islamic radicals powers didn't do the same like what they did in the last scene. And also the Organization for Human Rights actually condemned this act. And if we talk about the Syrian regime that was deceased, the Syrian revolution actually won after several years after the foreign minister said that the revolution never dies and it will stay. And this is the fruits of the revolution. And we cannot deny how Israel supported the country and how they tried to wash this radical ideology that is garment in the revolution, but it's not, it has the hatred beneath. And also, Hassan Nasrallah now is one of the terror group on the terrorist list. Also, they have listed Hezbollah as a terrorist organization today. If you want to speak about Trump administration, as soon as Trump is back in the office, he put the Houthis and other terrorist groups in the terrorist list as terrorist organization, and this list is very important. And also with the visit of the US envoy to Lebanon, she spoke about some words, and this word really came true. Then, in addition to this, Hezbollah is one of the terrorist regime. We have to um, think that according to his anti-Israel rhetoric and his hatred, lots of countries wouldn't actually be allies with them because they have to have respect to our countries and respect to our religions. In the light of his hatred to Israel, we have to be aware that this is very dangerous and we shouldn't support Hezbollah or any other parties that he has allied with or to support any of his proxies. There are outcomes of this report and of this rhetoric or anti-Israel rhetoric, and it's been reflected on Lebanon. If I see Lebanon from Washington here, I see that the Lebanese people paid lots of taxes and really a big price for what's going on there. And I hope this isolation is comes to an end and we are back as a big state of Lebanon and end this military war and this military problems or confrontations. And I want to thank you again for giving me the chance here. And I want to give you some information, some useful information to build a way of conversations to have all the civilizations and all the religions. Thank you, Maria, for this presentation and about this analysis that contains all the political points and political ideologies of Hezbollah and the things that support or the elements that support the hatred rhetoric against Israel, and also the current American administration put the Houthis in the terrorist organizations list, and also these terrorist organizations are put in the terrorist organization in Europe. However, the same rhetoric or the ideological rhetoric, we have to change it, and we have to speak about living peacefully with all the religions in the Middle East and the entire world. I don't know if you have any more questions for Maria. Is Mr. Abdurrahim, do you have any questions? Thank you so much, Manal, and for your host, Mrs. Maria. And I want to speak about this very important topic of Hezbollah existence in the area and the anti-Semitism. And I know they are anti-Israel, anti-Semitism, and anti-humanity in all. And these are all the factors that made Lebanon a, a victim here. And we want to highlight the democratic revolution in Lebanon. And I know that Lebanon is really suffering from this ideology and the rebels. What I wanted to talk about is the spread of Hezbollah in the area, and you know they are supported by Iran and the Shia. What is the relationship between Hezbollah and the Muslim Sunnis? In spite of the huge difference in ideology between the anti-Semitism and Israel, Iran is supporting Hamas also and the Muslim Brotherhood. And what's the involvement of Turkey in the area? The Turkish involvement came late. However, there is a war for getting the power of Iran or the power of Turkey over the area again through the Muslim Brotherhood. So politically, there are conflicts. However, they all agree on the anti-Semitism and the war to Israel and the war against Jews. What would make Hezbollah get involved with the Palestinians? If we look to the religion, they are Shia. They only use the religion garment to cover their political acts. what would make Hezbollah change his views or political roots to the religion or religious acts? Why would Iran get this involvement on the area? The Quds is not something important to Iran. Bait al-Maqdis is not something important to the religious aspects of the Iranians. They have been historical enemies with the Shia. Why would they try to defend Beit al-Maqdis or the other sites in Palestine? They are not shitty sites. They are not related to Iran. They are Sunnis. So what are the points that gather the Sunni and the Shia to hate Israel or to hate Jewish? What are the points that would gather them on this hatred? What is the main target for them or the real target for them? The Israeli attendance in the area undermines the strategic and the political aspects in the area. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the question. First, Mr. Abdurrahim, you have put the answer in the question. There are lots of benefits or some common points. They are extremist or religion extremist, and this is the one point that gathers them or in common among them. Everything in the Middle East has changed. We have got rid of Saddam Hussein or the other Shia in Lebanon. Those are the Shia that used to scare the Middle East or the region. The Shia in the Arab are used to support other terrorist groups like Daesh and other terrorist organizations that claim that they are free and they think in a civilian way. And there are lots of Islamic moderate or civil groups or has civil ideology, and they support the Palestinian war or the Palestinian problem. Every time they come to have an agreement, the problems or the issues between Arab and Israel, it's a trade or it's a business, they have to figure out what are the benefits they are getting out of it. For example, Hezbollah went to Yemen and they fought in Iraq, in Syria, and they didn't know where is the way to Quds. They never been to Quds to free Quds or to free Palestine. There are other leaders like Mohammed bin Salman, and there is another American administration represented by President Trump. There are other agreements that would achieve better, better thinking, better ideologies, better achievements. We are looking for the opportunities. We are looking for better future. We are looking for better civil societies in our countries. We are looking into the relationships between the European countries, and the immigration among Arabs is different from the immigration here in the States. Trump closed the borders and we're done with this, but we need the Arabs to feel their presence in their places. They would benefit their places, they would study and go to universities. The the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia have peace and they want to market for peace and talk about peace among the area. I think that hitting the snake head is the best thing to do. Here in the Congress. There are lots of steps and lots of movements. I think that the ideology as they try the thoughts of the Republicans under Trump administration thinks in a very different way from the other way or other thoughts or the other administration we had in the past. So Israel had, and there are lots of fire ignition and lots of issues that happen here in the USA in the students against the administration. They don't know anything about Hamas. They know nothing about what those terrorist organizations do. There are lots of slogans that the students carry and they know nothing about it. They don't understand what these slogans are. Anyone that would support Hamas and would support any fanatic or extremist groups, these needs to go back to their countries. I agree that these students against the American, they are trying to show slogans against the American administration. They don't understand what they're doing. They need to go back to their countries. After the visit of Netanyahu, we started to think there might be some real solutions on land that will be doable and applicable. It's not only says or only talk, but these are actions that would reach peace and we would discuss. We can discuss, for example, when Hezbollah and the Shia was there in the Lebanon government, they did some borders with Israel. This would agree on Israeli country borders, but they would look at us as a political journalist or political. So now Hezbollah has ended, and there will be some wars with the Lebanon borders. We want to prove that today that Trump administration will make Lebanon another nourished and good country with putting in consideration the Syrian position and what would this administration will consider Syria according to the current Al-Jolani position and his history. How would the administration look at him? At the end, we have came to an end to the slogans and to the deals. We are trying to communicate and get a future view, optimistic view, and I think there will be good outcomes for this project, which is the peace project in the area. I have a question, please. You said that Hezbollah was training the youth in Yemen in the Houthis and they were marketing for the anti-Israel rhetoric and the anti-Semitism among them. How is this related to what's been happening in Lebanon? We hope that we get a technocratic government in Lebanon and we have peace all over the region. How would you think on the long run, how can we have youth that believes in peace and conversations and discussions? Like you mentioned, the Saudi Arabia and UAE, they have programs, educational programs to educate against the Holocaust and against the anti-Semitism. These educational programs, would these be followed in Lebanon and in Syria and all the Arab world? I think we cannot stand up against the propaganda that Hezbollah promotes for without it. We are dealing with it as if they are facts, but they are not facts. We have to give opportunities, good opportunities for the youth. The talkings or the talks about this in the media is not enough. We want to promote them for the analytic thinking and analyze the evidence, analyze the facts, and they will be able to distinguish between what's true and what's false. Also, I would think not only having this program in the educational programs is good, but also we want to use the social media to put some apps or some social media to show them the real and what are the alternatives that they can go to get right beliefs. I think they have to see the truth among those social media apps. I think that the UAE example is very important because they don't talk about religious background. They talk about what are you going to give this country if you are resident or visitor or immigrant? What are you going to support? How would you support this country that you are living in? I think that UAE has proved that they are giving good opportunities for Arab youth and for Lebanese youth, even more the youth that comes from Far East and India. They go to UAE and they can achieve lots of good achievements. And how this is an example, how can youth go from developing countries or for countries under struggle to another country that they are given options to prove themselves and have better future. So they will be better in their ideology, in their future. Thank you so much, Mrs. Maria. Mrs. Maria Maalouf, I have an assumption. I would think in Lebanon. I have a question regarding. We wanted to have an insight. How would Lebanon look like after Hezbollah or after Hassan Nasrallah, and how would be the insight of the region after we get rid of the undermining of Iran or the undermining of the Muslim Brotherhood? How would the new Middle East look like? It will manifest in the relationships with the other countries, relationship between Lebanon and Israel, the Israeli youth and the Lebanese youth? Would it be better relationship? They will get to understand each other more. Are you from Morocco? Yes. First of all, we would like to thank the Moroccan leadership for the king and how he goes internationally and talk about Ibrahimian talk or Ibrahimian conversations. I think you are lucky to be Moroccan because those countries that signed the Ibrahimian agreements, they are living in peace. We don't see people are exchanging people to people currently. I uh, I would support the peaceful agreement with Israel. I would like the President Trump to make this come true. It's the slogan about Make America Great Again. This is um, thing that you might think it's a joke, but it's not a joke. Any initiative to talk with the other and conversate with the other is a good thing. I'm one of the victims in Lebanon, but when I try to look up, I want to be optimistic. I had this political view and exposed Hezbollah. I wasn't supporting Israel, however, I was exposing Hezbollah. When you live in a country under threat and feel scared, and when you leave this area and go to other countries like living in UAE or USA, and you see how those Jews live, they are very normal people. They live like us, they look like us, but when you live in the other countries, they you feel the threat. But now after the revolution, when we live in a country, we have freedom is speech. I would say that Lebanon is victim because we didn't have the freedom of speech because Iran destroyed Lebanon and destroyed the people, destroyed how they think. They humiliated the Lebanese people. They put them under, they put them in a very bad situation. We used to be exporting the culture, we were exporting education. People used to come to us in the 60s after Rafiq al-Hariri passed away. Actually, he used to make Lebanon like Europe or the Eastern Paris. They destroyed him because their ideology is not acceptable. It's very bad. This era is ended, and this bad thoughts and radicalism has ended. We are asking now to make Lebanon great again, and all the manifestations of death, martyrism, and what they think about us going to heaven and getting these versions in heaven. I think they share the same ideology like Daesh. We have spent our life since 2010. I was the first woman that made a newspaper in Lebanon, first female to do this reporting agency. We have suffered from mafia heptagon to the human trafficking or to organs trafficking. They were supporting the Syrian regime. Now we got rid of Al Assad and we got rid of Hezbollah. and we are optimistic to the future, and we are waiting for the Arab support and the support from Saudi Arabia because they represent the moderate Islamic ideology. I think the Saudi Arabia today looks at the Palestinians' benefit. President Trump looks like um, he has good administration, and his administration are talking about the analysis and putting the Palestinian problem in a simple way. I think Trump is a little bit imaginary. However, he is man of function or man that produces outcomes. We want to see peace with Israel in Lebanon and also in Saudi Arabia, although there are some tensions upon some details. However, we want to be able to go back to our countries and be proud of what we achieved and build better futures for the new generations and look into the future. We don't want to live with no um, identity. We have the Arab identity and it has to be respected, and the Jewish identity and the Israel as a country. Israel proved that they are a country. No one can deny that Israel are superior in all the levels. No one can close his eye and deny these facts about Israel. Some of the groups and some people that are falling, like the Iranian regimes, they are very weak. They are weaker than a spider net. When we are in a stronger position, everyone will know his rights and we live equally. This is the justice or the word justice that we want to achieve under the light of people who believes in peace and they know what to say. They are educated enough. They have their appearance in the international world, and we need to be partners in this world. We want to stay away from the hatred and the anti-Semitism. I want this message to go among the entire world. Thank you so much for this message that carries all the peaceful living between all the religions. Everything that happens in the Arab world, the problems that we're having here, and the Jews that left the Arab countries from Iraq, from Syria, from Lebanon, from Morocco. Do you think there is a chance one day that the Lebanon Jews would go back to Lebanon and live peacefully in Lebanon under the peace agreement, and the Jews can go back to Lebanon and they all live together in peace? Lebanon has got a very rich culture and very good culture, and they have influence over all the region. Yes, I have friends from Syria. They are Jews from Syria and from Lebanon, and they would love to go back to the country because those countries have capacity to everyone. What we are saying here is a message of peace. For example, I want to summarize here. I was surprised by my neighbor here in Washington. He is from Israel and I didn't know. But because I am here in Washington, no one has knocked on my door, but this Israeli knocked on my door and he invited me. He is very generous. He has the generosity of the Middle East. He is lovable, and he introduced his family to me, and his mother Israeli um, Jews, his mom Israeli Jew, and his father is Jew from Lebanon. And there are lots of common stuff from the Jew in Lebanon and all the Jews all over the world. We have very specific characteristics. We are good hosts. We help each other and help the other. And with all the occasions, I find gifts. And it's the Rosh Hashanah. It's the new year of the Jewish year, Rosh Hashanah. They had the same they have the same occasion like our Christmas. They have the Rosh Hashanah with the same timing with our Christmas. We have to believe this is a message from heaven. In the Western societies, we can live this experience. We have to get freedom from this issues. The only country that limit talks or prohibit their civilians from talking to Jews is Iraq. Today, the Congress are talking about Iraq and they want to clean Iraq from corruption caused by Iran. This regime needs to have sanctions. They need reforms. And when we have those reforms, this will be reflected on the whole region. We started by Syria, now Lebanon will go then to Iraq and then Yemen. And this will achieve a big win and get rid of Hezbollah from the entire region. Thank you so much for your time and this message. Everything you're saying is inspirational message and it give us hope to have peaceful living among the new generations. I hope the new generations will have this chance of peaceful living, and the credit goes back to people like you and other people who support peaceful dignity, freedom, and peace among all religion and sects. Mr. Ibrahim represent Morocco, and Morocco is a very good example for the peaceful living between Muslim and Jews. So we want to thank him so much. Thank you so much for Mariam and Manal and for the nice word regarding Morocco. We live peaceful with the Jews for 3 years now. With the Jew culture and with the Jew people for generations now and their Jew culture, we live with them peacefully. It's good that we're talking today about Lebanon and Syria and we don't reach no solution. There had to be this explosion to get rid of these. We started with Tunis and then it went around to get rid or to defeat what the Cold War left for us. Unfortunately, we are still living in the Cold War. Since Berlin Wall, and what is behind Berlin Wall. We have to talk as nations, as populations, as cultures. We had to talk after Berlin Wall down to undermine the powers of the bad powers or whoever is against our cultures. Berlin Wall that Saddam and Gaddafi built, and they controlled us for an era, and today we had to see Bashar al-Assad fleeing. They are going and they will never come back. And I hope they never come back again. And I hope that our futures are made with our hands, and for our new generations, we are looking into better future for the region. And conversation between everyone. We need a Middle East and North Africa brand new. We want them all to be good. Thank you so much, Mr. Abdulrahim. You have summarized all our wishes. I want to thank you so much for this chance, good chance we have to support all these conversations and meetings to be able to do our role, important role, as far as we can meet or as far as we can do to build this new future. We want to live in a new Middle East full of joy and hope. Thank you so much for your time and for your words. And we wish in the future we have a new Middle East and a new North Africa, like what Mr. Ibrahim said, that would have capacity to all religions and culture development and peaceful living among the area. We are looking for better living, and we have to look on the experiment of Saudi Arabia and UAE, and we would like to see more countries in the Middle East with those that follow those experiences and the peaceful living among all the Gulf states and all the Arab states in the country. We would love all countries in the region to follow the same direction. Thank you so much for all of you. Thank you for Ibrahim, and thank you ISGAP, and thank you for Maria. Have a good day, Mrs. Maria in USA. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye bye.